Honey, where are my socks? Honey, where are my socks? Honey, where?
Daddy, would you like some sausage? Daddy, would you like fucker? You fucker, hey fucker! Oh!
What the f?
Yo ho and hello again, everyone. This is Bionic Slime, and I just got back from seeing a double movie feature, which I enjoyed thoroughly. One of the films I saw today was Star Trek, again for the second time, which I also enjoyed quite thoroughly, as you can tell by my overly enthusiastic review. But the first film I actually saw of the two movies today was a new film, and that would be the new Tom Hanks film, Angels and Demons. Angels and Demons was supposed to be, I believe the book is a prequel to the Da Vinci Code. However, the film seems to make it out as more of a sequel to the Da Vinci Code. Angels and Demons is directed by Ron Howard and was released by Columbia Pictures. It stars Tom Hanks as Professor Robert Langdon, Ewan McGregor as, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, so please don't sue me over it, Camerlengo Patrick McKenna, Stellan Skarsgård as Commander Richter, and again, I don't know if I'm saying this last one correctly, and Ayelet Zur as Victoria Vectra. Plot. Angels Demons follows the adventures of Robert Langdon once again as the Vatican agency contacts him and takes him over to Vatican City, where 4 cardinals have been abducted and are threatened to be killed within 4 hours by a mysterious organization known as the Illuminati, who have a strong, passionate hatred against the Catholic Church, and it's up to Robert Langdon along with Victoria Vectra, a scientist who was working on a rare antimatter experiment that was also stolen and was used in the making of a bomb that will destroy Vatican City if Robert Langdon and Victoria Vectra, along with the Vatican police, do not find the location of the cardinals before they are executed and stop the Illuminati. Review the plot. Oh, just so you know, I'm going back to my old review structure. I think that makes my reviews a little less long-winded, a little more structured. Sorry about the flip-flopping, but anywho. The review of the plot, Angels and Demons, this is a much more downplayed section apart as far as story structure goes. I mean, it's not as obviously as epically synonymous with universal recognition as the plot of the Da Vinci Code is. If you guys have seen the film or read the book, you know how deep and how big that experience is and how important the storyline is. This one is not as important. However, I felt that this time they actually made better use of creating the plot than the plot itself. I think the way they paced this movie was much more efficient and much more evened out than the last film, which had moments of boorish dragness and occasional bursts of action, whereas they mix it very well and do not keep things from getting too boring or too overly informational, I guess you could say. It's a really interesting movie because the story is extremely intelligent, and you have to really put your thinking caps on to pay attention to what they're saying, because a lot of the words will go over your head if you're the average moviegoer, or if you're just too stupid or lazy to pay attention to the movie. Not that anyone is, nor that I am, but it's definitely a movie that keeps your brain thinking and working, and that's good. Particularly towards the end, there was much more twists and turns than I thought. You think you got this movie pegged down, and then all of a sudden they just whip out this surprise that just kicks you in the balls and the ass at the same time, and just definitely takes you for a loop. I was very impressed with the creativity and vivid imagination of the storyline. It definitely surprised me, which is always good. It's always nice to be surprised, even in movies where you don't expect to be surprised in. Review of the characters. Tom Hanks was much better this time around as Robert Langdon. He definitely gave the character more of a enjoyable personality. He makes a few snickering jokes, and he's more human and not as completely robotically encyclopedic as he was in the first movie. Ayelet Zur, who plays Victoria Vectra, did an alright job. She didn't really do anything that made me noteworthy or memorable. The first girl, I forget her name, unfortunately, I felt had a much stronger performance rather than this actress. But for the parts they needed her, I believe she worked sufficiently. Ewan McGregor, it's funny because they don't advertise him in the film, at least during the commercials, yet he manages to play a very crucial role in the film. And not only that, but he gives off a quite enjoyable performance, actually a quite excellent performance. He seems bland and simple at first, yet he takes such wild turns with his performances and makes them much more distinguishable than the rest of the other actors. I was very impressed at how he carried some of the scenes in the film, and like I said, he's not advertised that heavily, and he should be, because he gave a really unique performance in this film, and I really enjoyed him as his character. I also enjoyed Stellan Skarsgård, who, while not in his top form as he has been in other films such as Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and Good Will Hunting, I enjoyed him in this, and I liked the part he played. I think he fit the image of this commander character, Richter, that he played quite nicely, and it was nice to see him in there because I've always enjoyed his work as well. Everyone else gave a nice roundabout ways of good performances. I don't know most of the actors, and that in this case it's good because that's what this story kind of calls for. It's not a celebrity fest. It's more about structure and story, which this movie was definitely about. Review of the sound and visual cinematography. Music was excellent. I love the music in this movie. It was much more dark and epic, and it really set the tone because this movie is significantly more darker and almost scary in terms of how they use the religious beliefs and just the conversations they have. I mean, everything is all enhanced by the music very well. Scenery's awesome, by the way. They really framed this movie very nicely with their shots, the visuals of Vatican City, of the Pope, of the Catholic figures. Every character here and every visual set, because the Vatican City is so crucial to the storyline in almost every sense of the word. It's more than just a setting, it's a part of the story, and they really shot it well. It looks awesome. Also, something I wanted to touch up that I neglected to mention was the real ingenious level of use of mixing religion and science. It's a topic that comes up several times in the film, and it comes as some of the defining points in most of the characters, particularly in Tom Hanks and Armin Mueller-Stahl, Cardinal Strauss. I felt that it really helped elevate their performances to much more greater heights. So I like that. I like that kind of conflict of story and religion. I think it's a nice thing that they used. Negatives about the film. The plot, as I said, is not as universal as the Da Vinci Code. The Da Vinci Code had a much more compelling storyline because it was an issue that many people have been questioning, and it was one of the driving points of the initial selling point of the book. Here, the story is pretty cut and dry, and even though there is so much intricate plot devices, the whole basic concept is still just getting these four cardinals, and at times it feels like you're seeing the same thing in such futility that it makes it difficult to be surprised until they get into much more deeper aspects, so you have to wade through a lot of them. I was a little disappointed at that. Like I said, I was not impressed with Ayelet Zur as Victoria Vetra. I didn't feel her character brought anything interesting, nor was her performance anything worthwhile. But while the pacing and structure of this film was much better, I felt this was a bit longer, and at times maybe didn't need to be, but it wasn't a major critical point. In terms of pacing and the movement of the film, this one did a much better job than the Da Vinci Code. However, I felt Da Vinci Code had a much more unique plot that was more compelling and drew you in better. And I think that kind of epicness seems a little bit lost in this, particularly since not many people are aware of the Angels and Demons significance to Da Vinci Code. Da Vinci Code was a popular name that everyone knew about, especially with that big lawsuit that happened. But in any case, final wrap-up review. Angels and Demons is a much, much better accomplishment in the terms of Da Vinci Code storyline. They improved on all of their characters, particularly Tom Hanks, Robert Langdon. Their personalities were much more evident, much more unique. There's a lot of genius-level story twists towards the end. It really brought in a great amount of intricacy and twists and turns. I love the mix of the quarrel, the eternal debate between religion and science. Can they exist? Can they coexist? I really liked that. Ewan McGregor was surprisingly wonderful in this movie. However, it does feel a little bit long in the tooth at times, and while this plot fails to live up to the legend and infamousy that the Da Vinci Code so proudly wore, though did not successfully execute in the last film, I feel confident and proud in saying that I give Angels and Demons 3 stars out of 5 stars. Well, that's all for now. I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to my BS Bionic Slime movie reviews. This has been Bionic Slime. Thank you for listening, and bye.